What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. What I'm going to do today is go through each of the games and see if we can find any opportunities or good spots to make some cash. So, first game I'm looking at here is the Hawks versus the Pacers. The Pacers are +2. Now, this is going to be the Pacers' first game without Halliburton. I do want to see how they fare without Halliburton in the lineup. So I have to take a wait and see approach with this team. I do think TJ McConnell will do all right. You know, TJ and Hallie are both traditional point guards, meaning that they're looking to get others involved before they find their own shots. So I think the dynamic of the offense will stay relatively the same. Obviously, Hallie's a better player. There's some things that Hallie can do that TJ can't, like three-point shot, for example. But I'm more so worried about who's going to fill TJ's role now off the bench, now that he's going into the starting role. So gotta wait and see with that team. Hawks on the other side, I have no interest in backing the Hawks at this time. You know, it's a shame. The Hawks have great players. They have a great head coach, in my opinion, but they're just not meshing. They're just not able to put it together. They are a sinking ship, in my opinion. I think they need to make a change sooner rather than later. Whether it's a coaching switch, whether it's a trade, they need new energy in that locker room. And until that happens, I have no interest in backing the Atlanta Hawks. The next game here is the Knicks versus the Wizards. The Knicks are laying 4 on the road. So I don't really have any interest with laying 4 on the road with the Knicks at this time. Wizards are playing their 3rd straight home game. They are dealing with some injuries. You know, Porzingis and Gafford are on the injury report listed as questionable. They didn't play last game, and the Wizards had to resort to starting Taj Gibson at the 5. And respect to Taj Gibson, but I don't know if I want to back a team that is starting him at the 5 in 2023. Like, he was a great player in his day, but in 2023, not my cup of tea. So I'm gonna have to pass on this game. I think it's just a toss-up, really. The next game, Pelicans versus the Pistons. So the Pels are -5.5 here. I will back the Pelicans at -5.5. Pelicans have been a money train all season. I'm always looking for spots to back the Pels here. And one thing they've done this season is they beat up on teams that they're supposed to beat up against, right? So I'm looking at teams in the lower part of their conference. So teams that, you know, like the Hornets, teams like the Rockets, the Spurs, they're beating those teams. They're covering the spread. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're also coming off of an L. So we're getting the Pels in a bounce back spot off of an L. And the Pistons are actually off of a dub. So we're getting to sell the lowly Pistons off of a dub. They've only won back-to-back games once this season. So I think it's a good spot for the Pels here. That team always shows up. They always play defense. No BI, no Zion, no problem. They find ways to win games, man. I'll take the Pels -5.5 here. I'm on them for half a unit. The next game, so this is a fun game. The Warriors and the Spurs. The Spurs are +8.5 in the Alamo Dome. So from what I read, this is supposed to, like, this Alamo Dome is supposed to seat like damn near 70,000 people, which will be interesting. They're gonna set a record for most people in attendance at a game. Now, how does that change the dynamic of this game? I do think the Spurs have a little bit more incentive to bring forth their best effort. I just don't know if they could hang with the Warriors. Like, I know there's this narrative going around that the Warriors are not good on the road. And that's true, but I think there's a reason why they weren't good on the road. Like, their schedule in the first half of the season, or the first few months of the season, has not been advantageous at all. You know, they're coming off a long homestand here, their first game on the road since before Christmas Day. I'd be very careful with the Warriors on the road narrative. I do think they have a more favorable schedule as we go forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if they really showed out tonight in front of that type of crowd. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson in front of 70,000 people. That could get crazy. The total is at 244 points. I do think it'll be a high-scoring affair, but when it comes to the side, it would be Warriors or nothing for me. But I'm not going to have anything on this game. I'm just going to sit back and watch. It should be a fun game. The next game we have is the Suns against the Wolves. So I jumped on the Wolves last night at -2.5. They're sitting at -5 now. I would still play it there. I think this was where the number should have opened up initially. I think the Wolves should have been 5 or 6 point favorites. I mean, the Suns are not a good team. So they're wrapping up their trip. This is the last game of their trip before they head back home. And I mean, look, that win against the Warriors, cute win, right? But I'm not gonna back this team, man. This team is 6-16 since December. They don't have any guard play. Dwayne Washington is their only guard in the team, and he's more of like a scoring guard. He's not a guard that's gonna facilitate. Like, they need a facilitating type guard that can get others involved. CP Payne, that's who they need to kind of to run the ship and run the show. The Wolves here, I think the Wolves are licking their chops. I think they're looking at the Suns like a wounded animal, and I think they're howling. I think they're gonna come out and smack the Suns. They have double revenge against the Suns. I'm hoping Anthony Edwards plays here. If he doesn't, I still like the Wolves. Like, if Anthony Edwards doesn't play, and if this number drops to below -2.5, I'm gonna add more on the Wolves, but I do have them right now -2.5 for a unit. So we'll see if Ant Edwards plays. If he does, cool. If he doesn't, I'm adding on because I think the Wolves win this game either way. The next game we have here, the next game is the OKC Thunder against the Bulls. So OKC is on their third straight game on the road. It is a third game before night situation. They're +4.5 here against the Bulls. Now the Bulls have also been traveling quite a bit. They haven't had back-to-back games in the same gym since New Year's Eve. So they've been on the road constantly. They have no DeRozan here. This is a tough game, man. I don't really have any interest in either side. I don't like backing teams when they're in a fatigue spot like OKC is. Even though I think OKC is a little bit better built to handle a fatigue spot just because of their youth, I don't want to back them here, and I'm not going to back the Bulls either until they're able to find some consistency. I think, they got to have a homestand upcoming soon. I think that's when we can start to look to back the Bulls. But without DeRozan in there, with all the travel they've been dealing with, I'm going to have to pass on this game entirely. The next game, so the Magic +6 against the Jazz. Magic have played some inspired basketball on this West Coast trip. A couple of nice victories against they beat the Trailblazers the other night in Portland. That was a good win. Franz Wagner's been going crazy. Franz Wagner had a great game that game. They beat Golden State. And, now that Wendell Carter's back in the lineup, like the lineup with Fultz, Wendell Carter, Franz Wagner, and Banchero, and then, if they have Harris at the 2, Ross at the 2, doesn't really matter who's at the 2. Like, those four, if those four are in there, I really like that lineup a lot. And now that they're healthy and, they have some depth as well, with Wendell coming back at the front court positions, Suggs I think is coming back soon. I'm not really looking to get on the other side of the Magic at this point. And the Jazz are a great team at home, but we really don't want to be laying points with the Jazz in a situation like this. Jazz are better suited to be dogs at home, kind of like their last game against the Cavs. But Jazz have a great home court advantage. Like, they really get loud in that arena. They shoot a lot of threes, and when they make them, and the crowd is going, it's a fun environment. It's a fun team to watch. But at -6, I don't really have any interest in backing them here. I'm gonna have to pass on that game entirely. Next game, the Nuggets and the Clippers. So I actually jumped on the Clippers last night at Moneyline. I got -112. So last night, I saw that the Nuggets had the Joker on the injury report, right? He was listed questionable on the injury report. And I kind of had like a Brian Windhorst moment where he was like, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Like, it makes sense. Like, the report just came out that Joker's probably not going to play. It makes sense. The Nuggets are leaving Denver for the first time in a while, and they're going to LA against the Clippers for a one-off game before they head back home. And it just so happens that the team they're playing tonight, the Clippers, they happened to beat by, 30 points last time they played? 122-91, yeah. They were up by 50 points in that game. That primetime game in Denver about a week ago, Clippers got smacked, destroyed, embarrassed. You don't think they want this game? I think they want this game really badly. Whether Joker was going to play or not, the Clippers were going to bring forth their best effort. They were going to be very motivated to get their revenge because that loss was so bad. I think the Nuggets, potentially resting Jokic is still not official, but most likely it will happen. I think that's a strategic move. I think it's a smart move. I think the Clippers will beat them today. Now, I don't know if I play at -4.5. I think I would shift towards maybe a first half look. The Clippers are -2.5 first half. That would be more so what I'm inclined to play at this point with the number moving so much. But I am on it officially at Clippers money line -112 for a unit. But for right now, I think you could play in first half. I think that'll get you to the window as well. And last game here, Rockets versus the Kings. So the Rockets, I don't have any interest in backing the Rockets. I mean, what can you say about the Rockets, man? Every time I watch the Rockets play, I see good individual pieces, but I see bad coaching. I see bad attitudes on the court. There's just nothing working well. I don't think they're motivated to win games. I think they're in the sweepstakes for that go-go gadget kid out of France, that 7'4" go-go gadget kid. This is Kings or nothing for me, man. Kings at -9.5. One thing I've noticed this season is that, because this is the second time they played, it's like this little mini-series. In these mini-series, the team that wins the first game has had a high success rate for that second game as well. Usually, you would think it would be the other way around because it's sort of like a playoff dynamic, but the teams that win the first game end up winning the second game as well. Like we just had one the other night where the Raptors played the Hornets. They beat them the first game and covered, beat them the second game and covered. There's been plenty of games like that. So I look towards Kings here or nothing at all, but I won't be playing that game. I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that. But that's it. So I'm on officially the Wolves -2.5 for a unit, Clippers -112 money line for a unit, and the Pels -5.5 for half a unit. That's my plays. Best of luck with whatever you have. Happy Friday, and enjoy the games. Peace.